section 2.2, we're going to be talking about equations of lines. We're going to be talking specifically about linear lines first. First type of equation, we're going to talk about point slope form. Point slope form, we have M, which remember is slope, and then we have a point x1, y1 on the line. The equation is y minus y1 equals slope M times x minus x1. Or sometimes it's written y equals m times x minus x1 plus y1. We just added over the y1 value to the other side of the equal sign. So for example, if I give you the points -3, 1 and 2, -4, and I want to know the equation in point slope form. So first thing we're going to do, again, we have point -3, 1 and 2, -4. We're going to find the slope. Remember, the slope is subtracting the y's, subtracting the x's. So we have -4 minus 1 over 2 minus a -3 is going to be -5 over +5. So our slope is -1. And then you just pick a point. Okay. I usually pick just the first point to be consistent. So I'm going to make the -3 my x1, and the 1 is going to be my y1. And then I just plug it in. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. It's an equation, so y is going to stay y. I'm using 1 as my y1. My slope I calculated to be -1. X stays the same, and then minus x1 is going to be a +3, because minus a -3 is the same thing as plus a positive. And then I could clean this up by adding the 1 over. We get y equals negative parentheses x plus 3 plus 1. So that is in point slope form. This also an acceptable answer for point slope form. I would be specific as to which one I would want you to use. They could make it even easier and just say using point -3, 2 and slope of 4, find point slope form. Here they already give us the point to use, x1, y1, and they already gave us the slope. So we would just plug it in, y minus 2 equals 4 times x minus a -3, y minus 2 equals 4, x plus 3, and if they want, we can add the 2 over, and we get y equals 4 times x plus 3 plus 2. Then we have slope intercept form. this should be very familiar by now. That's our y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is our y-intercept. We've been working with this a lot lately, but just to review, if I give you slope is 3/4 and 5/4 is on the line. Okay. We have y equals mx plus b. We have the slope they told us was 3/4, but they didn't give us the y-intercept. They just gave us a point. Well, our point we know is x comma y, so we can plug in and solve for b. So y equals 4, 3/4, and then x can be 5 plus b. So this came from our point that they gave us. So 4 equals 15/4 plus b. Subtract 15/4. These cancel. We get b equals 4 minus 15 divided by 4. We get 1/4. So our equation then becomes y equals 3/4 x plus 1/4. So again, the slope they gave us, they didn't give us the y-intercept. So we had to calculate it using x and y. Plugging in 4 for y, 5 for x, solving for b. Now we have our y-intercept. Let's say I told you the x-intercept is 2 and y-intercept is 3. We know that the x-intercept crosses the x-axis at 2, 0. The y-intercept crosses the y-axis at 0, 3. So we can calculate the slope. 3 minus 0 over 0 minus 2. Again, subtract the y, then subtract the x's. We'll get 3 over negative 2, which is negative 3/2. Y equals mx plus b. We just calculated the slope to be negative 3/2 x. And then b is our y-intercept, which they gave us as 3. Now, if you leave the negative in the bottom, that is technically correct, but the proper form is to either put it in the numerator or out front like this, okay? Again, that is correct, but technically they prefer it as this or that, okay? And then another type of example, if I give you points negative 3, 3, and 7, 8. First we need to find the slope. So we subtract the y's, 8 minus 3, subtract the x's, we get 5/10, which is 1/2. Y equals mx plus b. Our slope is 1/2 x, but they don't give us the y-intercept. So just like in part A, we just pick a point. I'll just pick the first one. So this is going to be x, this is y. 3 equals 1/2 times negative 3 plus b. 3 equals negative 3/2 plus b. This is negative, so I'm going to add the 3/2 to both sides. So we get b equals 3 plus 3/2 is going to be 9/2. Okay. So our final equation, y equals 1/2 x plus 9/2. If you picked 0.78, you can go through and try it, but you'll get the same answer. So 1/2 x plus 9/2. Word problems. Apple Corporation sold approximately 4.4 million iPods in 2004 and 46.4 mil in 2006. We want to find point slope form. Okay. So first thing we need is the slope. Okay. Years and time are always your x. So we would do 2006 minus 2004 on the bottom. 46.4 minus 4.4 on the top. And you would get 46.4 minus 4. And you would get 21. So again, this becomes 42 over 2. So that's how we get 21. For a word problem, always use your start date. So point slope form is going to be y minus 4.4 equals our slope of 21 times x minus 2004. And that is our equation. So again, our equation was y minus 4.4 equals 21 times x minus 2004. If they want to estimate sales in 2005, y minus 4.4 equals 21 times 2005 minus 2004. (21 times 1). 4.4 equals 21. Add the 4.4 to both sides. You get y equals 25.4. And remember, this is in millions. So the important thing to remember for word problems, okay, your point, x1, y1 is your start year. Why we use 2004 and 4.4. Okay. Again, 2005, our years are always our x's, so that's why we plugged in 2005, and then it's just algebra from there. Standard form, excuse me. Standard form looks like ax plus by equals c. To find the slope, there is a shortcut, and you can just take negative a over b, and that'll give you your slope. Your other option, you could change to mx plus b using algebra, but this is a shortcut. I recommend learning that. To find your x-intercept, you let y equals 0 and solve for x. For your y-intercept, you let x equals 0 and solve for y. That should be a review. We've already talked about x and y-intercept, so that's just a reminder. So if I gave you 3x minus 5y equals 15, and I asked for the slope, a equals 3 because it's in front of the x, b equals negative 5 because it's in front of the y, so our slope is negative a over b. Negative divided by negative becomes a positive. So positive 3/5 is our slope. So again, negative a over b, negative over negative becomes a positive. Just rewriting the example. So part A, we said the slope was 5, or excuse me, oh wow, no, 3/5, sorry. The slope was 3/5, which we just did. If I ask you for the x-intercept, okay. X-intercept, this becomes 0, so it disappears. So we have 3x equals 15, so x equals 5. If I ask you for the y-intercept, this becomes 0, and we have negative 5y equals 15. Solve for that, we get y equals negative 3. So our x-intercept, 5 comma 0. Our y-intercept, 0 comma negative 3. Horizontal line, we've talked about this. A horizontal line, y equals b, where b is the y-intercept. We have this graph. We have this horizontal line, y equals b, passes the y-axis at 0 comma b. Vertical line, x equals k. K is the x-intercept. So we have this line, x equals k. It crosses the x-axis at k comma 0. Doesn't have a y-intercept because it will never cross the y-axis. Doesn't have an x-intercept because it never crosses the x-axis. Let's say I want you to find equations of vertical and horizontal lines passing through -3, 1. If it helps you visually, you can plot the point. So -3, 1 is there. We want a vertical line, and we want a horizontal line. So vertical line, excuse me, vertical line we know is x equals the x-intercept, which in this case, if we were to draw a vertical line through -3, 1, we would cross the x-axis at -3. So that would be the equation of the vertical line. The horizontal line we know is y equals wherever it would cross the y-axis. So if we were to draw a horizontal line through -3, 1, it would pass 1 on the y-axis. So that would be the horizontal line. Those are the only two choices for the vertical and horizontal line that goes through this point, -3, 1. Horizontal, vertical lines. Then we can talk about parallel lines. The notation, two lines like that. Okay. Parallel lines are two lines that never intersect. So therefore, they have the same slope. So M1 equals M2. So for example, if I say find slope-intercept form of a line parallel to y equals 3x plus 1, passing through 2, -1. The first key phrase is parallel. That's going to tell us that our slope is equal to our slope here. Well, mx plus b tells us that the slope for this line is 3, so the slope for this is also going to be 3. So this was my M1, so my M2 is 3. And then we're passing through the point 2, -1. The only thing that this equation is useful for is the slope. After that, you don't need it. Then what we're going to do is they want slope-intercept form. So that's y equals mx plus b. We know our slope is 3, but we don't have the y-intercept. But we do have 0.2, -1, which we can use as x and y. So -1 equals 3 times 2 plus b. -1 equals 6 plus b. Subtract the 6 over. We get b equals -1 minus 6, -7. So our final answer, y equals 3x minus 7. So parallel lines. Your slope should be the same. So we have 3x plus 1 and 3x minus 7. And then our y-intercepts will change because they are different lines. Then we have perpendicular lines. These are two lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle. The notation looks like this. So an upside down T. Okay. Two lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle. Their slopes are what we call opposite reciprocals. So if you multiply the two slopes together, you get -1. But it's even easier than that. Okay, if I give you 1/2 and I want to know the opposite reciprocal. Reciprocal means we flip it, so the 2 now becomes the numerator, the 1 now becomes the denominator, and opposite means we're making it the negative. So our answer would be -2. Let's say we did -3, opposite reciprocal. This is the same thing as 3/1. So we would flip it. 3 becomes the denominator. 1 becomes the numerator. It was negative, so now it's positive. Opposite reciprocal. So let's say I want to find the point slope form of a perpendicular line to y equals 1/3 x plus 1 through 1 -1. So first, perpendicular means we need opposite reciprocal. So the slope for this equation right here is 1/3. Perpendicular means we need the opposite reciprocal. So we're going to flip it. The 3 is now on the top. And then we're going to change the sign. It was positive, now it's negative. So our slope is -3. Then it says point slope form. So that's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. They gave us the point, so this is going to be x1, y1. And we just plug it in. Y minus -1 equals -3 x minus 1. Clean that up. Y plus 1 equals -3 x minus 1. So our slope for perpendicular opposite reciprocals. The last type of linear is a direct variation. Direct variation is more for an application or word problem. So what this means is y is directly proportional to x. Directly proportional. And the equation is y equals kx. So if you notice, it's in this section because it is a linear equation. We just don't have a y-intercept. The y-intercept would be 0, 0. Okay. And then our k, okay, for a direct variation, k is the slope, but we also have a special term for it, and it's the constant of proportionality, or of variation. So k is the constant of proportionality or the constant of variation. So if we say let y vary directly to x, y equals 23 when x equals 7. Find y when x equals 11. So we're letting y vary directly to x. Y equals 23 when x equals 7. Find y when x equals 11. So vary directly means that we're using first step. Okay. Write general equation. So our general equation is y equals k times x, because it says let y vary directly. Those are our key words that we're using, y equals kx. 2, we're going to plug in known values and solve for k. So y equals 23 equals k times x equals 7. Multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by 7. So we have k equals 23/7, and we can leave it like that for right now. Third step, plug k into equation 1. So equation 1 was y equals kx. Now it becomes y equals 23/7 times x. After we get the general equation with k, our fourth step, solve problem. So y equals 23/7x. They want to know what y is when x equals 11, so we just plug it in. Y equals 23/7 times 11, and we get 23 divided by 7 times 11. 253/7, or 36.14 about. Okay. Or we can have a word problem. This is known as Hooke's law. Just FYI. So we have a 15-pound weight is hung on a spring. And it stretches 5 inches. We want to know how far will it stretch with 32 pounds. So a 15-pound weight is hung on a spring and it stretches 5 inches. How far will it stretch with 32 pounds? So remember our first step, general equation, Hooke's law. And I would tell you this, okay, still follows the y equals kx. Want to plug in what we know. 15 pounds is going to equal 5 inches times x, or excuse me, 5 inches times k. Okay. Second step, we're solving for k. Divide by 5, we get k equals 3. Third step, y equals 3 times x. Fourth step, solve the problem. So our 15 pounds we used as y. So if we're talking about 32 pounds, okay. So 15 pounds was our original y. 32 pounds will be our new y. So 32 equals 3 times x. Solve for x. 32 divided by 3. We're going to get x equals 10.67 inches. Okay. And make sure it makes sense. 15 pounds is 5 inches. 32 inches is a little bit more than half, or double, excuse me. 32 is a little bit more than double 15. 10.67 inches is a little bit more than double 5. Okay, so it does make sense. When we increase our pounds, we're going to increase the inches that it's stretched. And that is it for section 2.2.